Hello, I'm Jay. I am doing a series of videos that are all about studying vocal delivery. And each week I am finding different video on that. And a lot of those videos, a lot of them actually so far have been coming from Darren McStay of Improve Your Voice, are very much technical and focused specifically on vocal delivery. But I thought, because I ran into this video this week, that I would take a little break from the more technical voice delivery side of things and think about the more structural process of constructing a video. And I found a video by a woman called Zoe B, who does video essays, and this is a lot higher level than I am ever going to be. I'm probably looking at how can I do a better review of a single book. Not I'm doing a thing on is literature dead, or that was one of the videos that she did. That I'm not interested in that sort of level of video essay, at least at this point. It doesn't appeal to me. At this point, I'm still using it very much as a way of processing my reading, and I'm pretty happy with that. But that said, she did a video called How to Write Video Essays, which I thought I'd go through because I found there's some parts that I don't think particularly apply to me, but there's other parts that I think do, and maybe even the parts that don't apply to me I could think about in a general sense, not I want to make this my full-time living. It is a full-time living for Zoe B. She has a sizable number of subscribers, still infinitesimal compared to some, but it's an interesting essay that way. So let's go through her eight points that she makes on how to write video essays. So her background is she teaches writing skills, how to write an essay, so more kind of formalized that way. And you can tell that she's somebody who has parlayed that particular skill into a new medium, into the video essay medium. So a lot of these steps to start off with, very much you could use to sit down and just write a written essay. So number one is who are you, which kind of goes into the write what you know school of things, which is where are your interests? What is the stuff that fascinates you, that you have acquired a ton of knowledge in? And she's saying, like, this isn't to say that you can never go outside of your wheelhouse, but if you're trying to present a video for people to actually watch, where's your highest, where do you have the best expertise, the most expertise, the most passion that you can talk about a subject? So that is just in general, like, books, movies, capitalism, philosophy, video games, wherever that is. So that's the first thing. It's just a giant, what's your field? And that can be quite giant, that can be quite specific. But even in the specific, you get on to point number two, which is focus. If your fascination is with model planes, well, it's like, are you going to try and cover the entire field of model planes in one video? No, maybe you are, but maybe you want to make a 15 or 25-minute video. You're going to focus on a specific model plane, or maybe the history in one country about how model plane. I don't know why I picked this, but something that's something that's niche. It's like you can focus in more to something more. Her third point is to do something. It's basically to do something new. I think her video was not another loot crate video, which I don't know what I've got a vague idea of loot crates in the video game economy, what that is, but apparently there's been a lot of them. So yeah, I can see for somebody, if you want other people to be interested in watching your video, try to pick a subject that isn't been completely mined out, and that no one, it's like, okay, it's the 500th video on this subject. I'm not no one's interested in actually listening to your ideas about it unless you can come at it from a radically new perspective. And even if you do that, just by the subject matter alone, you might have to build up some goodwill with your audience to get them to actually check out that video just because they think, oh God, I've done that before. I think we get this in the booktube community. You hear a book is very hot and you see about 500 reviews on it, unless you really care about unless you really care about a reviewer's point of view on it, you might not actually check that out. And you hear about booktube creators saying like, well, I'm not going to review the book because everyone said everything on it. And a lot of times they'll add, and I don't really have anything, I don't have a new take on that. If they're like, no, everyone else who loved this book was wrong, here's what I think about this book and why it sucks, and these are all the reasons, maybe they would be motivated. But so that's a valid point even in our tiny little part of booktube. That said, if I get excited enough about something, even if everyone else has talked about it, I know that I'm a part of why I'm doing my channel. Primary audience for my channel is me while I'm making the video. That said, I could make plenty of videos like that, and I have made plenty of videos like that, and I've never released them on my public channel. They've all gone here on my private reader channel. Number 4 is, I think, the one that really kind of went, oh, I want to talk about this video as for doing presentations, for doing videos. And step number 4 is find the kernel, which is, so far we haven't even you found out what your general area is, you found a focus, you found something, an actual topic that you don't think has been overmined that you'd like to share with other people. Number 4 is find the kernel. So you take that idea that you have and you ask yourself the question, what do I want people to know or to feel by the end of my video? And this is what she says, this is what they call in the business the thesis. And actually this is, I think it was the, what do I want people to know or feel as the thesis statement, slightly unlock things from a bit more traditional idea of a thesis is me telling you, here's what I think what's happening, and here are the steps I'm going to get to make this thing happen, and this will be my conclusion. I think of that as a thesis. Well, the thesis is the first part of that, but it's a little bit more mechanical, where this is a little bit more like, what do I want to communicate with people? What do I want them to feel by the end of the video feels a little energizing to me. Now, and she states, this is the most important part of the process of doing a video. It's probably something that you might not even ever say in the actual video essay itself, but it's the goal. It's the kernel from which the whole essay centers around. That's everything that's in the essay should actually contribute to whatever that thesis statement is, which I thought, it's like, oh, that is interesting. I don't know if I've ever done that in one of my essays. So yeah, and she also adds that what she feels that is crucial for making a good kernel is to know who your audience is, and because knowing who your audience is will make you know how you want those people to know and how you want those people, that audience, to feel by the end. Because if you know, oh, I'm talking to this kind of audience, your line of attack is going to be a lot different than, like, I want to talk about a trans issue. And if you know that most of your audience are other trans people, that would be a completely different video than if, oh, I want to talk about this trans issue, and I know that most of the people that I'm addressing aren't actually trans people and don't have that experience. You're going to have to bring a lot of different things. You might have to explain a lot more differently. You might have to actually justify things which trans people themselves would just sort of take for granted. That came up, that for some reason is an example. So that's an interesting thought, because I don't know who my audience is other than myself for these videos. So that's something to think about, is like, who am I going for as an audience when I'm talking on this video? Am I just talking to myself? That does get you, she talks about how you have to kind of guard against echo chamber. And it's like, well, if I'm only talking to myself, that's got to be the definition of a very lonely, lonely kind of echo chamber of one. Hello, 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 hello. So that's something to think about and to wrestle with. Number 5 is called very provocatively strip on stage, which is about how think about how the audience, what you think the audience is at the beginning of your essay and how you want them to be at the end. So if you have an audience where you think, okay, this is people who aren't trans, who aren't trans people, they're the kind of the wider community. It's like how they are at the beginning. Maybe like you think, okay, they're ignorant and they don't quite understand some of the issues. Maybe they have some fears, and I'm thinking probably of a Jesse gender video here. And how can I address each one of those points, and where would I like them to be at the end of the essay? So that could be one voyage that happens within that essay. Another thing might be you start from a very specific point and you slowly work yourself out into a larger concept. I think she gave the example of Folding Ideas, did an essay which was, I think, Flat Earth essay, and it started off with a specific example of a lake, and it just got larger and larger and larger until they were talking about very large concepts, but it was all anchored back to that specific example. But that's going from a specific to a kind of a wide concept there. So that's another kind of a what's the voyage that you're taking people on in your video essay. And talking about how stories can help communicate ideas. So you're telling a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that kind of movement can help really communicate ideas in your essay. Number 6 is kind of connected to number 5 in that sense of its analogies, examples, and humor. This is techniques to explain ideas without simplifying them, to help people kind of get the concept, but to not sort of dumb it down into this most simple thing. Try and come up with an analogy that kind of still kind of preserves some of the complexity, the odd stuff in a stuff, but that that is sort of like, it is like salt. It can be used to very much highlight the flavor, to highlight the idea. But if you overuse your analogies or you overuse your humor, suddenly it's getting in the way. It's the only thing that you can taste in the essay is the analogy or the humor, and people miss the actual idea, the main point behind the essay. So use it, but it can be used very effectively, but use it also sparingly to kind of highlight your idea. Use it in service of getting across your point, not just as the gimmick that is going to that's going to be there. Number 7 is don't write like you're writing. This is I think she especially is probably someone from her perspective is coming across as people write out scripts that are come across very dry, that are academic in their way. I think she uses the example of you don't want to be that academic at a conference who is just reading their paper out word for word, and you get no kind of connection with the person. You get no connection with the person. They're not using the medium there. They're just simply reading out words on a page, which can come across very dry. I think she's obviously, this is top flight video essayist here, who isn't going to is everything is scripted in their essays, in their presentation, which I don't know if I'm going for. I think there's some kernels here, but that idea again, like I have done some stuff where I've been reading out, I've written a lot of stuff out, and I made the mistake of not putting it back into like little note form, and I was reading it out, and you could see me looking down at my notes, and I don't want to do that. So I have fallen, I think every once in a while I over prepare, and I fall into that trap. So, but yes, so don't write like you are writing. This is the medium, which actually brings this on to the last point. Strangely enough, it's almost like she's constructed this that one point flows into the next. Is remember the medium. This is a YouTube video. This is a YouTube video that this is all about where YouTube is a medium for, it's a video medium. It's a casual conversational kind of delivery of stuff. That's part of the beauty, at least at this point in YouTube's existence, is having a relationship with the person who is talking on screen. And yeah, well, there's that point about it, but there's also that it's a video essay. So you're using more than just your words to communicate. You're using visuals, you're using body language, you're using the vocal tone, your delivery of how you are talking right now will make a big difference to whether people are going to listen to you, which is a part of what I've been working at. Why I've been going on this little voyage is to try and figure out, okay, how can I get better at making a video, of being being the best talking head I can be. I'm not going to be a filmmaker. I'm not going to do skits. But how can I be the best vocal delivery guy that I can be? And I think that I'm trying to adapt myself to the medium. So, and she wraps up this by saying, hey, this is one perspective on how things have worked. This is what's worked for her. It may not all work for you. I think I've noted places, I've noted places where I might vary, where I don't have the goals that she's laying out here, but I think there's a lot here that I can benefit from. That idea of the kernel is something that I really like. I think the subject matter, I know what the subject matter is. It's going to be various individual books. Maybe there'll be an overarching essay in here somewhere. I don't know. But also, and I should think about that idea of who my audience is. And I like that idea of, addition to the kernel and the audience, is what's the voyage that I'm trying to put people on as I go through an essay? That is another interesting question. It's another way to organize the various points I make in an essay. I make in a review. It's like, okay, how do I want to order this? It's like, well, what's my kernel? What's the voyage I want to put people on? And who are those people? I have no idea. Maybe I should just imagine someone very kind like Brian at Bookish, who is usually out there, who will check in every once in a while with one of my videos as a good kind of audience surrogate. So yeah, I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. Audience. Yeah, the sympathetic viewer as like the sympathetic reader. All right, so that has been my vocal video study for this week, and it's a little bit different, but it's an important area to look into. I can be saying I can have the most smooth voice, I can have the most interesting tones, but I think there's also that importance of having a kernel, having that kernel there. I like the idea of a kernel there from where everything will flow. Is something that I would like to incorporate in videos, of just saying at the beginning of a process of like, oh, I want to talk about this book. It's like, okay, what do I want to communicate? That's probably going to help me edit my videos down a lot. Edit and focus my videos. Focus my videos primarily. My videos down of like, oh, like something like the Dragman review. I probably have in the back of my head that idea of, this is a warm hug of acceptance, of self-acceptance, and that was the key thing that I wanted to communicate in that review. So that's something to think about in each review, each video that I more publicly want to make. It's like, what do I want to communicate, and how can I do that, and generate all my points from that. And it might take a bit more thinking, which is probably never a bad thing. If I do more thinking, it means there's less work for the poor viewer to have to, a lot less crap for them to have to wade through. All right, I will leave it there. I've been Jay. More videos later.